was working up at our 6-acre site today on this very windy, blustery, rapidly cooling day. Had a couple days really hinting at spring, and now it's very much a reminder that we are not in spring just yet. I wanted to chat in this video about a few things. One is a quick update on our spring sale and how that's going. Second is a big shout out to a local person who's offering delivery of black locust. I want to talk about that person and hook people up if they're interested in that. And then the main part of this video in a moment or two is an observation that I've had this winter, a number of years in a row, but this winter really solidifying it for me around the herbivory of black currant and red currant by deer in the winter. And what that means. Is it dangerous? Is it an issue? I hope these things are compelling, so stick around. At the time of this filming, it's March 1st, and so our spring sale is open. As of the moment right now, I'm still seeing a fair bit of miscanthus and bamboo, lots of cuttings on there, and in particular our special offerings, the connection with our friend Eric at Black Creek Farm and Nursery. That page has some nice trees that are still left. A lot of things have sold out because we had limited numbers, but we are so appreciative of those of you that have ordered. We'll be doing more local things and talking about potted plants later on. But thank you very much. If you're still interested, there's some things on the website, check it out. The next thing I want to chat about for a moment or two is this amazing resource that is in our area. So out of Newfield, New York, is a good friend of mine named Wayne, who's connected with Locust Lumber Company. So this is a real specific local shout out. If you're within, hour drive of Newfield, New York, I've got his name and telephone number on the screen. Shoot him a text if you're interested in this. So I processed this wood myself. This is 100% black locust, but he'll deliver an 8-foot by 12-foot by 2-foot bed for I think $100, depending on distance. And within it has, how many hundreds of dollars worth of dimensional lumber is that? We've been processing staves out of this, so we've got this pile that needs to be processed, and we're making a mountain of 3-foot and 4-foot staves that we can sharpen either for sale or for our gardening. Really, really beautiful firewood. Slabwood locust splits easily, it burns super hot, great coals. And then there's some absolutely gorgeous, wide, thick boards that are milled on both sides that I'm setting aside to cure slowly that will turn into cutting boards and value-added things for gifts or even for sales, just to diversify what we're up to. Anyway, I told Wayne I'd give him a shout out. This is a hard-working, sweet person. So if you're interested in pre-processed firewood, he does delivered loads of that as well as these mountains of slab wood. Send him a text and check him out and tell him Sean sent you. The main thing I wanted to talk about, you can see today, one of the main projects that Juan and I were up to is starting the process of collecting. It's like the primary cuts on hardwood cuttings, which is a major part of what we offer both in spring and fall. So these are bundles of named cultivars: black currant, red currant, there's pink currant in here, there's some elderberry. And a common theme with all of it that we're observing through the landscape is the nibbling on the tip. It's a little less interesting to look at it in the car, so let me look at it actually in the landscape. In front of me here is a nice thicket of Titania black currant. This is a patch that has been growing for a number of years that as it creeps to the south, we pin down the shoots, put some soil and stones on top so they reroot. So it's basically a big stool bed of black currants that we can dig up and propagate, sell, whatever we want to do. But if you look closely, there's an interesting phenomenon happening. At the tip of almost every branch, pardon my moment, there we go, is like that. It looks like somebody went through with a pair of old rusty pliers and just grabbed the top bud of every one of these, twisted it off and moved along. And I'm not kidding, it's like every single bud. And so this is not a rogue electrician with pliers, it is actually deer. It's not rabbits because it's way high up, and deer are extremely present in this landscape. And so there's a question here of, oh my God, every black currant, every red currant, every pink currant in the landscape has their terminal bud nipped off by deer. Does it happen all the time? And my observation in this landscape is no. It's almost as though you can read the difficulty of the winter on deer by how much they choose to chew on black currant and red currant tips. So in other words, if it's a really mild winter, like last winter, there was barely any snow, it wasn't that cold, there was tons of other stuff to browse, the ground was thawed, they could access herbaceous material. The black currants and red currants had almost no herbivory. But this chewing happened in the last 2 months once we got very, very cold, very windy, pretty deep, crusty snow. And My takeaway on this is the following. It's not anything to worry about. You probably could have predicted that if you watch this channel much at all. I tend to not get too upset about what nature is doing. What I'm finding is that the browse is just on the terminal buds with these. It's 1 or 2 buds down, and it doesn't seem to affect the fruiting wood on these. So this is all last year's growth. It's the year before where most of the fruiting takes place. And if anything, what this will do is it kind of terminates the growth point and triggers more lateral branching, more fullness in the plant. It's almost as though they're managing them for more buds in the future. And I guess what I'm trying to say is if you see the tips of currants being nipped off by deer, you don't need to fence them off. You don't need to get upset with me and others that say, oh, you don't never have to worry about currants with deer. It's true, sometimes they eat the tips, but you don't have to worry about it. The thing about all this that I think is lovely, black currants, red currants, white, pink currants, even yastaberry, all an emergency feed material for deer, but with a really specific rule of engagement that does not interrupt the ability for them to produce fruit or thrive. It doesn't promote disease or any issues like that. You can go through and clean it up if you want, or just leave it. For us as a nursery where we're processing thousands of cuttings, it means we'll have to do a few extra thousand cuts just to clean up that tip. Maybe once in a while one will sneak through and you'll get some hardwood cuttings that look like we prune them with pliers, and that'll be the deer helping the nursery out. And sorry if we missed it. The air temperature is dropping so fast, it's crazy. I'm gonna wrap up here pretty quick. Takeaway is there's always value, I think, in observing before you make interaction or before you make decisions about management. So if it were early on, I could see that kind of browse and feel a panic, and then all of a sudden in winter, in the ice cold, I'm out there trying to hammer in staves and I'm buying rolls of metal fencing to put around these currant plants. I can assure you that even with pretty solid browse from these creatures in the winter months, it does not kill the plant. It just kind of stimulates more growth. You can always cut flush to ground just to tidy the whole thing up, and currants need that every 4 or 5 years anyway. There's a lot of compatibility in how creatures are co-managing these landscapes that we're setting up. And we'll just keep watching how the creatures do what they do in these landscapes. Every time the deer are lured in to take some nibblings off of that, they inevitably drop some poop too. So there's always a nutrient cycling thing going on. Anyway, long way to just say the tips of currants might get chewed by deer in cold winters, and it's okay. Thank you for watching.